thank you for being here this evening. We're excited about getting the feedback that you can have. What we're going to do today is to provide some realities and some facts about the Vigo County School Corporation. But before I get started, I want to say thank you to Tony Smodella at Sarah Scott Middle School, who helped create this video using the Sarah Scott News or Network News Studio, and we owe him a big thank you. What we're going to do is talk about some of the results and the facts about Vigo County School Corporation throughout this video, and we're beginning with the facility study. And our facility study is different from previous facility studies in that we took a look at all of our facilities. It wasn't limited to just the high school. What you're going to learn as we go through this video is that we have many schools that are in need of updates and modernization. What we're going to do is our school board is wrestling with these facts, these realities that we must live within, to create a plan that is comprehensive and addressing the facility needs that we have at each and every one of our schools. Along with the facts and realities that we have, there's going to be some slides that are also going to be accompanying me. What you'll find on the next few slides is the fact that many of our buildings are much older. 11 of our schools are over 50 years old. We have very few schools that are under 35. In fact, our newest schools of Fayette, Franklin, and Consolidated are actually 21 years old. These have led to the situations where we have very many significant needs that need to be addressed, not just at our 3 high schools, but at many of our schools. We also have moderate immediate needs at several of our schools that if we don't address them and we let them go by, will soon be those buildings similar to our high schools where there are significant needs. So as we take a look at the facility study, one of the pieces of the feasibility was what happens if we keep all 23 current schools? Well, the reality of it is that if we want to reconstruct those 23 schools and modernize them in that format, it's going to be well over $1 billion to do so. If we want to keep our current 23 schools and just renovate as a way of modernizing them, we're still very close to $1 billion. For our community, that's just not realistic. So we need to look at what are other options to try to make the cost of modernizing our schools more reasonable and accessible for our community. The other piece that we have to consider is the fact that if we were to keep all 23 schools, we're probably going to need, in today's dollars, $20 to $22 million to make sure we do the preventive maintenance so that in several years from now, we're not right back in the same situation, having the same conversation because we weren't able to keep up with the preventive maintenance. So how do we upgrade our buildings and then also make sure that we don't repeat the situation and have our buildings fall apart because of a lack of preventive maintenance? That's where we have to make some hard decisions and take a look at, is 23 schools really the right number? And that's where we asked our architect to say, you've told us the feasibility of maintaining our schools. What's the feasibility if we were to reduce the number of schools? And though it's not something that we want to go and address, the reality of it is that if we use the best practices in place across the state, where we have about 600 or 700 students in an elementary school, there's about 900 to 1,000 students in a middle school. What that does is it reduces the effects of the underfunding from the state, the teacher applicant shortage that we've been dealing with for several years, and also regain efficiency so that we can get more consistent class sizes. These class sizes, averages, are something that we can maintain even if we were to go to larger schools. The size of the school does not impact the class size. The class size is impacted by the number of teachers and how many classrooms we can divide those kids into. That's the number of kids per class. We can actually equalize class sizes more closely to the average in bigger schools than we can in smaller schools. The reality of it is if you only have 32 kids in a particular grade level, there's a really good chance you'll have 32 kids in that class. Whereas if you have 45 kids in a grade level, we'll divide it into 2, which actually hits our class average across the district of around 22 to 23 students. So as we take a look at that, it is possible. It's not, the plan isn't decided. We're here to get feedback from you. But the reality is that when you take a look at our current enrollment and the future forecasted of our enrollment, you decide how we have to live within the means for preventive maintenance, as well as the funding of our teachers and payment of our teachers and its educational assistants and the others who support our kids. and you deal with the realities of teacher shortages, we need to figure out how to live and piece this together in a puzzle so we can still maintain class sizes for our kids. When we look at it in that way and we go strictly by a spreadsheet, we could end up with, instead of 15 elementaries, 9 elementaries. Instead of 5 middle schools, 3 middle schools. And when you consider that county-wide, we have the same number of students in a grade level or in a graduating class as we had back in 1971, the reality is that we could live with one high school. The other reality of it, though, is we have railroad tracks, we have rivers, we have other things that we have to think through. So what we're trying to do is, what is it that we need to make sure that we keep and maintain? We want to keep and maintain the average class sizes. We want to continue to offer the courses that we offer. The reality of it is that with our lost enrollment in each of our high schools, we are dropping below the level of having enough students sign up for classes to keep them and maintain that class. But combining them allows us to do so. The other reality beyond enrollment is to think about it from a funding perspective. In 2008, the state took over the people part, the teachers, the educational assistants, and all the other people in our schools who work with our kids. Since 2010, we have not kept up with inflation, and as you can see on the slides, there's an almost $10 million underfunding. We also are limited in what we can do with a property tax size. You can see here on the slides on how those monies in the operations fund and the debt service fund can be used. We supplement with the operational referendum. That's to supplement property taxes in terms of what we do with the fuel for transportation, and then also what the state provides us and what we do for supporting classroom teaching, the mental health supports that we provide kids, the additional nurses, and the school protection officer program. The reality of it is we have to figure out how to bridge the gap of living with only about $9 million for preventive maintenance when we have $20 to $22 million worth of needs. So where the board is we have to consider all the information from the facility study, the feasibility of each of those things, all the information about enrollment and funding, and then the realities of our community, railroads, the river, the realities of where our population is in relation to the current buildings that we have, and figure out how to piece it all together for a comprehensive plan moving forward. And that's where you come into play. We need your feedback. You're here tonight to provide this feedback, but that feedback needs to be taken within the context of understanding our realities, and I thank you for allowing me to take some time to explain those realities and give you a little bit of flavor of the things that the board is wrestling with while they develop this comprehensive plan. Thank you for being here. Please be open-minded, be candid, share your feedback, be honest with us. We look forward to hearing from you.